So this is our second edition here at Native Events' free lunchtime webinar series. We're aiming to put one out kind of every couple of months, giving key insights into sustainability in the events industry, sustainable event solutions, things that we're spending our time and attention and making progress with. This one is a project close to my heart called Smart Waste, which we are developing here at Native Events for the industry in Ireland. So quick context to Native Events first, in case there's anyone who's not aware. We're Ireland's leading supplier of sustainable event solutions through event production, eco-event hire, consultancy for the cultural and creative sector, and we have crewing services also. And basically this smart waste management service is like a waste management service that the industry is familiar with and needs. It's simply put a solution for litter, for bins and for waste disposal. And the reality, as we're mostly aware, will be that we have to prepare for what an event might throw at us, whether it's a large camping festival or a corner event, a book fair or something. We need to make sure we're aptly prepared and we're ready to clean and dispose of rubbish responsibly. Um, as well, so we need to prepare as well as what's already been done. We need to match how it's been going or do better. And that's kind of something we're firm on also. And while doing this, this is a cultural service. We're addressing the volume of waste that is being produced, and we're addressing the culture around consumption and around kind of the expectations of what the events are offering us and how we're behaving at events as all stakeholders. That's attendees to organizers to sponsors to buyers to food traders and many, many more. And our ideology can be adopted by anyone, and we can help with that process. So it's waste management, but with a cultural twist. And the aim of the cultural twist is to, as I said, highlight the problems and see where we can actually come in and make effective change. Whereas often we find that waste management solutions are frustrating, slow to be adopted, and if not just failing entirely. So a quick question for everybody, just to keep on your minds, is who is determining this culture that I'm talking about at our events? Got the most kind of influence on that? Is it the organizers or is it the attendees or anybody in between? So yeah, basically that's a quick intro. Sit back and relax. Hopefully you've brewed a nice cup of tea. Welcome to the lunchtime webinar series. This is edition number 2. So I'll kick it off with smart waste management. So I'm Josh Brownlow, and maybe some on the call or in the festival world may know me as Waste Man. And this is kind of an identity that's come through 8+ years now, quite heavily focused on what I mentioned, litter bins and disposal. On the left here is me in Canada in 2016, fronting up to the Ferrari here and showing that also the bin guy can be cool. And here I am in New Zealand, maybe in 2023. Yeah, just perfectly sorted bags of rubbish there, ready for responsible disposal. And I have managed to work between several countries and cultures on litter bins and disposal, providing waste management services. And I've grown through this now to be working full time with Native Events, and as I said, developing out solutions here in Ireland for the future, because we have learned a lot, and Native Events have also taught me a lot with my time spent with them. So now we're on a solutions based and an action approach. So get ready for a bit of a slideshow. I think pictures tell 1,000 words. So I'm just going to fly through kind of 2016 till today, pretty much. And as Aziz mentioned, you can chime in with questions or get them in the chat, and I'm open to accommodating questions at any point. But if it's going to be addressed later in the presentation, I might just say that. So here's where it all began in Canada, beautiful Pemberton Music Festival, and it's myself and a huge group of Irish mates who were working for the man in the front here, Andrew, from Clean It Events, to do the litter picking and bin changing at I think it was up to 80,000 or 70,000 person music festival. Um, things, I don't know, people like Pearl Jam playing, etc. And having, yeah, but do you want to check the participants? Sorry. Having done that, I've realized actually we're having a pretty good time here. We're, getting paid reasonably. We feel like we're making a difference, and I'd like to continue like working for Andrew. So he took me on and kind of trained me up, and I would be traveling around the country, well, not the country, British Columbia in Canada, with this kit in the van and setting up. This is a kind of frame system that stacks quite nicely into a small amount of storage space with the different lids for waste segregation and then basic cleanup materials. And away we went in our cruise and did whatever events in the British Columbia area. Fast forward a couple of years, and between Canada to here, there's kind of event production roles, account executive roles in event companies, crewing work, driving for someone like Activo events, and building site infrastructure and stages. So moving away from rubbish as I decided I wanted to work further in the events and trying to create a full-time career for myself. But it wasn't rubbish focused. Whereas 2 years later, I found myself at Rhythm and Vines Festival at the end of 2018. And this is where I was the project manager for the waste management of a 25,000 person festival, and I believe 15,000 plus in camping. And it would have that kind of rite of passage culture. Young people, 18, 19, 20, loading up their cars and driving to a remote town, bringing everything with them and leaving it there. So I got a bit of a shock, really, to be honest, and I was up to me to clean everything up. This pile of tents is just one of probably dozens. So that was just day after day after day with the head down, dealing with the problem and huge amounts of litter in the arena. On the right, more of a positive story. We had a huge can collection on, and I think it was a long time ago now, but I'm trying to remember upwards of a few 100,000 units which we collected over the weekend, and we worked with a local metal recycler. And when COVID happened, I was back to Ireland and the UK. I got in touch with Native Events with a sustainability sustainability kind of focus. And Native Events were obviously kind of making a name for themselves in the space. So we met up and collaborated. And I suppose during COVID, events were essentially illegal. So there wasn't a huge amount of physical work going on. But we did get over to the UK in 2021 when their industry reopened. And we also spent a lot of time pondering and discussing and figuring out the problem of what's going on. So quick little three bin system in action here, and pile of camping rubbish. This is where we were over doing waste reports in the UK, kind of auditing each section of the festival, really large scale festival, and writing up reports for the organizers afterwards, kind of litter problems in the environment. Always enjoy this picture here, walking into the campsite afterwards, just pure madness going on, really. So, oops. So the next slide has some audio, and it's also in this 2020 to 2022 phase where yes, we see all this rubbish, but what is happening to it? So just on to the next slides. Hopefully you can hear. It's not that important if you can't. So this is our black bin facilities in Dublin. There's loads of these, and on the left, green bin facilities where all of the recyclables go and are sorted. So that video there, I hope you could all see it, was just showing kind of what's happening in there where all of this rubbish is being taken to actually. And the goal of it is to extract value and to turn it into this, which is solid recovered fuel or solid refined fuel, which can be burnt in incinerator plants for energy, in cement kilns for energy, also to fuel the process of the cement factories, and also exported to other countries where they incinerate. I'm just going to go back to this other slide, so I'll just get rid of the audio maybe. Okay, very good. And on the left here, in the green bin facility, you see it's all, this is post the conveyor belt system, so it's been sorted, whatever, aluminium, steel, cardboard, different types of plastic. It's pretty incredible what they can do. And it's been baled into cubes. And I guess the main reason for this is it's very efficient way of transporting these materials onto the market of waste, the waste market. And a lot of it is getting exported to different countries. Some of it is going to the UK, Turkey, I guess Southeast Asia, maybe less so these days. And I think I'd need to do a bit more digging to find out where it's actually going in Ireland, as I think there's not a huge amount, but someone here might enlighten me at some point. Um, and here, so we covered black bin and green bin. Here is the brown bin. So again, I'll just quick shout out to Thornton's because this is them who gave us the insight. We were partnered on Body and Soul Festival, and they said, listen, you guys are dealing with a problem. You're pretty engaged. Let's come in, and thank you, Thornton's, for taking the time to show us everything. And we get a really good understanding of things after this. So this left picture is where all of the brown bin waste is kind of received into the facility, and on the right is it's gone through the process to be turned into compost. And excuse me, this is now kind of a valuable product that can be used across farms in Ireland. Quick kind of note on it, it's not typically used where people are working by hand because it can be contaminated with glass, plastics, etc. So it's generally spread by machinery, although I think they're making further progress on this in terms of like separating the fines out of the actual product. So lots and lots of learning there, lots of context to waste. Where is it all going? What's happening? Considering where is it coming from? And that was after my initial experience in Canada and New Zealand before COVID with cleaning up huge events. So now armed with this kind of perspective from my time at Native Events, the help with Thorntons, and back in New Zealand, COVID is over and we're cleaning up events again and we're back to rhythm and vines. Um, Here is, this is the every morning. This is what we have to just clean up, like as many people as we can hire in the area and before people wake up. As I said, 25,000 odd people. Big parties the night before, big headline acts, and our method was to use leaf blowers, so you can see the kind of hill, the arena. There's many more stages. This is just one. But we'd blow everything we could down the hill and then collect it up from there and get it back to our waste depot, which is here. This is the fancy cans, but there's lots of not fancy looking stuff behind the camera there. Um, and here, it shouldn't be sound here, but just a couple of videos cleaning up arena gigs. So similarly, I'd say to the Aviva Stadium, similar capacities. This is in Auckland, and this is quite typical after any show. For example, Red Hot Chili Peppers, Post Malone, Elton John. The one on the right with the feathers is what that is Harry Styles. So Harry Styles wears this feather boa thing when he performs, and then like all of his I don't know, 30 or 40,000 fans are wearing these feather boas, and then there's just feathers everywhere, and they're all over the arena, they're all over the toilet blocks, they're all over the trader area, they're all over the stands, they're all over the local town, they're getting blown around. And then even when I was doing different events after where the infrastructure was used at this event, the feathers are now in a park 15 kilometers away because the feathers are attached to everything. And the company I was working for actually got in trouble for not doing a good enough job cleaning up the feathers. So again, I don't think that's very fair, but some of you people perhaps expect that. We did our absolute best. I think we were blowing them around until about 6 in the morning after an already huge day. So just another quick look at that because it's definitely madness is the only word that comes to mind here. Um, This here would be our pile of rubbish from that arena. There's a person here for scale. I'm assuming you can see my cursor. It's in the bottom left of the picture. And with Clean Event, our service was actually to collect all the rubbish and to hand sort all of the rubbish. So that's what we did. Here's all the bags, and there's more bags where that came from. And we would be We're pretty efficient at it by now. The company's been running for 10 or more years. I had a total of 4 seasons with them. But we'd sort through all of this, compostables, recycling, general waste, and do up our reports. Um, Hail, rain, or shine. Here's a bit of sorting, like, the marquee over to protect us from the elements, and then an actual conveyor belt that you see in the previous slides, but just on our on-site scale that we actually own this conveyor belt, offered as a service, kind of allows us to have more control over monitoring the waste, recording the waste on site. So this leads us to more recent times and around the time of the smart waste kind of brainchild, where yes, at this point I'm pretty clued in on the budgets and the project management side and the litter and the bins and the disposal and the cost of how many people it takes to clean up a field and to sort rubbish and to get in all the bins and how many trucks you need to compact the rubbish and different everything. So this is a small little festival in New Zealand called 121 Festival. I really went kind of for the crack. I got paid a few quid, but I was offered to do it for free. It was about 1,500 people, lots of friends there, and they were really keen to kind of shine the light on waste management and attempt to address the culture that exists in events. So here we are, we're in our wasted management tent, and it was kind of a little brand and a joke that we had going on for the festival. Here's our classy ute or pickup truck where we were going around doing our job, collecting things. Somebody brought a rubbish bin sound system, which is definitely great for raising awareness. We're just having a party and it's a bin, so definitely a good time, and people kind of reacting, noticing, engaging, seeing us, smiling, dancing. That connection leads to more positive behavior. And here is the volunteers outside of the Wasted Management Hub, and all the labor that went into this festival was volunteer. So there was no actual pay for the litter picking, and there was also a community group nearby who would have been in charge of some stewarding and some litter picking, and they got a bit of a donation for their community group, their local community group, so to benefit the local area. So here's a picture that maybe everyone has seen at this point, and we might need to get some more. But it's now 2023 in Ireland. We're at Body and Soul Festival, and it's like, okay, great. I understand the project management side, I understand the money, I understand the budgeting, and I'm learning the culture. I mean, I'm in a sense creating the culture with all of the 8 years, or at this point 7 years, that I'd spent having fun with the crew on site and the jokes and the things that get us through the day, sorting rubbish and picking up rubbish. Like, it's arduous work, but we actually have a really good time. And we were lucky enough to provide our Smart Waste service kind of officially for the first time at Body and Soul Festival. Um, so this is, bright signage, bright uniforms. Our staff are pretty like well paid and well committed, and their role is kind of deeper than just litter picking and changing bins. That's what they're doing on the surface, but all the while they're connecting with the festival in a really effective way. Here was Zero Waste Alliance Ireland, who have been banging their head off the sustainability wall for as long as, I don't know, longer than I've been alive. And they were on site with their biodigester, composting the food waste, which we collected on site. I'm here doing similar rub trash talks, raising awareness, speaking about the matter, getting a bit of a buzz going. And 3 days later, this festival, basically in the campsite, after our, majorly coordinated engagement strategy, the attendees cleaned up after themselves, bagged up their waste. This is also down to the festival itself, promoting it. There was the Leave No Trace campsite that everybody had to sign up for when they were buying their ticket. There's a clear message about this is what we're doing. So they bagged up their rubbish and they left it at our recycling points. And actually in here, I don't know if you can see, if you squint maybe at the screen just above my cursor, that's the mother load of the recycling points. Wish I got a picture, but here's a more modest one. But that was people power. That wasn't any of the crew. That was just communications and attendees partaking in the event, to move the waste to a point that we can access it with a truck, and it leaves a major relief for us on the team who has to clean up after everybody, because there's still a lot of work to do, but it really helps when we don't have to go through that stuff ourselves to bag everything up and get rid of it. So finally, we're coming to the end of the rubbish slideshow. Um, I'm back to New Zealand for the final time. I'm back with Clean Event, and I'm kind of my perspective is now, yes, there's great potential here in culture. There's a lot of sorting going on with Clean Event, and oftentimes it's quite tough. Here we sorted. This is a 60,000 person festival in Auckland called Polyfest. Four of the 4 days of kind of Polynesian culture. And again, clean event as we do, we sort all the rubbish. But a lot of the time it's really lashing rain, the staff are tired, it's been a long summer, and I'm kind of wondering how, what we're getting paid to do this service, but it feels a bit off to me anyway, and that's just worth noting. Here's our wonderfully sorted skips of compost, and I was volunteering at a local community farm to learn about composting and learning kind of specific to events that coffee cups and serveware, they don't really have much nutritional value in them. So when they do compost, we sort them out and they get composted successfully. The final product isn't actually as high nutritional value as the supplier or the producer of the product would like. So they don't necessarily want these materials that I'm pointing at. So something to keep in mind. In Ireland, they don't really accept them. In New Zealand, they're stopping slowly but surely. They're stopping to accept them. And this is kind of a kick in the teeth before coming back to Ireland. It's a compost skip after a 3 day camping festival that got contaminated by a crew member when we'd done all the hard work to sort it. And I had to go on my own 9 days after the event had been done and food and all this compostable material was festering. And I was in the skip, pulling out pallets, pulling out bags of rubbish, pulling out whatever you can see here, load up the Jeep and take it to the landfill skip and jump up there, lashing rain, pull everything up. It's really not the most ideal working situation, and it was to save a skip of compost in which the attendees and the organizers and the litter pickers did the right thing and sorted everything, but that skip still got contaminated. And finally, we're back in Ireland and we're kind of playing with all of these thoughts and ideas. This is Fuinu Festival. What can we separate at source? What can we sort that are with our hands that is easy, that is safe, that is worthwhile, that is not just going to these large facilities that I pointed at earlier with the conveyor belts and with the shipping containers? Yes, that is necessary, but what else can happen in a responsible manner? So on the right, we have all of the cans and bottles from the return scheme in which we partnered with Mead Camogie. And Mead Camogie didn't have to do anything except collect them from the site. They have their own collection scheme with return, and they raised, excuse me, 1,400 euros from a small independent camping festival. Major potential there for any event, any week of the year. And we also collected cardboard in which we worked with a local community farm. Pardon me, a community farm not local to the event. I will note that it was transported, and they had a volunteer day in which everybody came out. This is one sack. We had about five or six, and took all the cardboard that we collected and spread it on a vegetable garden or field to create a no-dig bed. So the cardboard suppresses the weeds, and they load compost on top of the cardboard so no sunlight can get in and the weeds will die and the vegetables will be planted in that layer of compost. Here is some single stream waste collection at Imma Earth Rising. So just we're figuring things out here. Mixed metal, hard plastics, soft plastics, mixed glass, compostables, paper and cardboard. We had little cans for cigarette butts. And it's like, first off, will people respond to this and will they separate? The answer is basically yes, they do. Secondly, what do we do with the rubbish afterwards? So that's kind of a work in progress. We need to dispose of rubbish responsibly. And oftentimes it's mixed waste disposal, as I've said, can be quite problematic. So onwards and upwards with figuring out more possible ways to dispose of waste that isn't mixed. Just And this is at St. Patrick's Festival, where we're back out and we're kind of going from the, independent camping festival world into the conventional world, Dublin City on Patrick's Day. Um, Pretty good one to get involved in, and thanks to St. Pat's St. Patrick's Festival for involving us. I hope they're really happy with our service. I think we've generally got a lot of good feedback. So we're there and we're basically engaging with everybody through our actions, litter picking, sorting waste, weighing waste on site, and getting the tonnage and data. And this is just a couple more pictures of that same festival. So basically using the event to engage with people and tell the story that I'm telling you right now. So the reality of waste, and this is just something that feels to me like how I'm progressing or how I'm moving forward with everything, how I'm making my decisions. So again, people may have other opinions, people may have other um, beliefs or that. I'm happy to hear them, but this is kind of what's guiding our actions. This is a graph from more carbon, less circular, or more circularity, less carbon, pardon me, it's an important distinction, campaign. So it's the carbon impacts of waste in Ireland. And we'll see here that through incineration and through landfill, we're giving off some carbon emissions. Through recycling, we're saving some carbon emissions, but the glaringly, elephant in the room is the embodied carbon in all the products that are being created, that are being sold, that are being consumed, that are being transported around the place. So this for me is everything. And recycling is a part of the system. Um, but reduction, as we all know, but maybe don't focus on enough, is the main leverage point, and really the best way to go about things in terms of making this a better industry, making events better, making the world better for, how do we move away from this trend of incineration that's being reported in the Irish Times, and climate commentators are showing that waste volumes are increasing and recycling rates are dropping and incineration and exploitation is growing. So this is clear for everybody: refuse, reduce, reuse, recycle, rot, and composting. We all know this, but I'm just reminding. And this is the ideology from here. It's my experiences with native events, our experiences. They've been producing events for years. They've been in this space for years. We're doing it together and we're coming through we have a service that, as I said, we need to be ready for what is going to happen at an event. We need to have control over the litter levels and making sure we have our bins in place for responsible disposal. So that's the service coming out here. Conclusion from my experience is that production and consumption are out of control. Financial growth is required for success. There's a direct correlation between these. So the more financial success you're having, the more stuff that's being generated and sold. Pretty much there's a link, there's a correlation there. They're intertwined. So with that in mind, it's not our responsibility to recycle everything. That responsibility has been put on us by the ones who have created the problem. It is our responsibility, and there's 5 of these, and you can come up with more yourselves. I've definitely got more in the back of my mind. It is our responsibility to leave no trace. It is our responsibility to reduce waste where possible. It is our responsibility to dispose of waste responsibly. Lots of responsibles. It is our responsibility to address what it means to enjoy events. Do we need all of this production? As I said, we need financial success. So maybe we need all of this waste. Like, that's for organizers to consider. That's for attendees to consider as they partake in the festivals. It is our responsibility to change the perception of those who do the dirty work, those who are out there every day, and it's events and it's regular life, collecting bins, picking up rubbish, in our case, sorting rubbish as well. We have to look at them with a brighter light. They'll come to us with a brighter light as well. And our culture changing service of smart waste management is pioneering sustainable waste management in the events industry and the festival industry. It's a familiar service done differently. So we do our budget with the clients. It's not supposed to be, it's not our goal to be premium and more expensive. It's a waste management service. We need to be financially realistic. Our waste management plan that can be included in your event management plans, waste reduction and zero waste communications pre-event, litter pickers and bin buzzers with a twist, bins that allow for segregation, on-site sorting and weighing of waste. So that's in our control. We're not putting it in the truck and then asking them what happened. We're doing it on-site. Responsible disposal and post-event reports so that we can see what's been going on and how can we adjust next year. And this matters really for me. There's I said it to Aziz earlier. What do we pay for universally as a society? Phone bills, television, Wi-Fi, electricity, gas, and waste. There's significant resources allocated. So great opportunity to use those resources with some forward thinking and preventative measures. And as I say, the important job of leaving no trace and responsible disposal. Sustainability is no longer a trend, it's an expectation. Waste management is in the shadows, so we're bringing it to the people. And this isn't just about better bin placement or bin signs. This is about changing the way people see waste at festivals. And often people come and they say, how do we get people to recycle better? And it's an admirable want or need of your organization, but this cultural thing can also be adopted. So I'd like to hear more of that. How can we change people's perceptions? How can we have this paradigm shift of waste being the headline act of an event? It's my kind of joke, and I say it with a smile. But can you have your promotion team talking about the lineup, talking about the food, talking about the venue, and then mentioning that native events are on site with smart waste management? So that gives people a bit of a buzz and looking forward to the event. And if you're not picking up rubbish, you're a sucker. This paradigm shift, another joke that I have. If I say that to most people, they'll just be like, "What are you talking about?" But the point being, working for us in this culture with this mission is very much an enjoyable time. We're paying our staff as best as we can. And people who work with us come back because they know that they're yeah, onto something good there. So how we're going to go about it, a bit of what I've talked about already, lots on communications and culture. On the left here, this is a front of house attendee facing activation at Digital Festival in the Netherlands, where the Recycle Hub, maybe we would have a Smart Waste Hub where your organization can call it whatever they want. And it's the attendees, it's as I said, like a stage, like a food vendor, like the Portaloos. It's a part of the festival that people can go to, make sure it's safe, and they can interact and engage with us as we pick up rubbish, sort out rubbish, get ready for disposal, do some trash talks at these zones, um, on-site sorting, transparent waste data collection, reports, litter picking with a twist I've mentioned, event personalities. The crew is a part of the event and is engaging with the people. And finally, raising money for environmental charities, like I said, with the return scheme, or multiple times I've been involved where we can actually take the litter picking budget, allocate it to a community group who wants to be involved, who wants to do the work to get the benefit of the budget, manage them so they're looked after properly, they have all of the gloves and sun cream and water that they could need, and that they can do the job on behalf of us and go away with a few quid to improve whatever they're trying to do, if it's a GAA club or a charity. And that's basically finishing off the opportunities that come with it. And it's the triple bottom line. It's always about profit in our world of making things happen. And I really understand that these days. But we can meet the people, the planet, and the profit, providing secure jobs, growing within this industry and this culture, reductions in litter, reductions in emissions from transport and through manufacturing when this culture is really um, kind of expanding and being understood by people. And also costs are just going up all the time, transport, new materials. So this kind of activity addresses that. And events are even better with smart waste, and life is even better with smart waste, I'll say. Cutting down on overall waste volumes, maximizing recycling efficiency, raising the bar of audience experience. It's normal behavior to just throw things on the ground, to just walk over rubbish. People in running events, running around a town or a park, just dropping stuff on the ground, raising the bar. Involve all event stakeholders. It's not just up to the waste management supplier because they have a tough enough job as it is. They need everybody to be aware of what's happening and raising money for positive action through litter picking and return initiatives. And finally, another mention of reporting. So that's basically a bit of a story. That's basically where smart waste is coming from. I know that many people on this call have event experience. They might be calling from county councils. I'm interested to hear from you guys. about how you can see this or how you can imagine us helping also in your own worlds and your own projects. I think we're on 12:42, so we have about 20 minutes. I've got Aziz beside me here, who is only in the company for 2 months as our communications lead, and I think it's fair to say, maybe with a grain of salt, but you never would have thought about rubbish or bins ever.
Thought about rubbish and bins at home, but not to the
Yeah.
extent that I guess.
And now he's very much in the deep end with me. So maybe we'll just have a quick 5 minute. What do you think of all this? Because of his kind of fresh perspective. And I hope to hear some questions from you guys. Please throw them in the chat. Please get them ready, and we'll be back to you guys as well. So Aziz, what do you reckon?
I think, I guess, from working with you so far, it's been like 3 months that I've been here in the communications lead role here at Native Events. And one thing with Josh and like what I admire about him with this role, I'm not here just to flirt with the fella, but it's very admirable to see someone with a passion for like events and music festivals come into like, I guess, the quote unquote dirty side of events and like put their all into it and really try to change the culture surrounding it. Like you showed that graph that shows that, we are recycling, we are composting, and but that's only a very small aspect of all of the whole waste management situation, because there is just this situation that's happening of more and more stuff is just being generated. And in that realm, it's like, okay, we can bring smart waste into an event, into a festival, and it's great to have us there, but we also need to involve everybody in thinking intentionally about the waste that maybe they're going to bring to this event. I'm going to be off some festivals this summer. I'm going to be packing my car to drive down to, who knows, Waterford for all together now. And like, I need to think consciously about some of the stuff that I'm going to bring down there. Like, is this stuff going to end up being waste that someone like yourself is going to have to clean up? And I think it's important to have more and more people thinking about this, because it is something, I think it's something that just is very possible, in the sense of festivals can promote on their Instagram pages, their LinkedIn's, whatever it may be. They can promote waste management along with the sponsors that they're getting, along with the acts that are involved. They're able to promote that as well, and have their communities be part of this conversation, because you showed an example of the zero waste campsite and getting people on board with that, and then look what happened. So it's like,
and it feels like there's a fear where they maybe just don't want to be mentioning it because they don't know how it's going to be perceived. But I can sit here now and tell anyone who's willing to listen, and we'll post this online after it, well, it works. Like, people perceive it very well and really positively. And that's the thing that keeps me going every day. Like, I get exhausted, particularly during the summer when it's all just happening and I'm going to another one and there's more rubbish. The flow is consistent and I'm like, damn, what am I doing? But once I arrive, people are like, yes, here we go. Another one, like smart waste management, waste man, having the crack. And like, that experience for them is enhanced. It's not just about the other things that are happening at the festival. There's now an added value. And so I'm very confident in that it does get perceived well and it shouldn't be feared.
I think we always think about, the bin man, and like we put our bins out in the morning and like they sort that out and we don't even think about it. But like, we can think more intentionally about our waste. Like, I remember when they first brought along the green bins to my house, and I remember looking out the window being like, what is that? And then next thing you know, we started recycling. Then the brown bins came along, we started composting, and it's like, we're not a monolith. We can change our attitudes, we can change our cultures. Yes, there is a status quo, and maybe a lot of us are very comfortable where we're at, but we grow most outside of our comfort zone. So it's kind of like we got to push against the boundaries and believe that we actually can influence this stuff.
And if we don't, it's back to what that graph was showing and what the industry experts and the Irish Times was reporting. It's more incineration, more exporting of waste. Like, that's our pathway. It's happening right now. It's going to keep happening. Like, that's just the way things are, the way our system is set up. So you could do absolutely nothing, and that's just what's going to keep happening. And basically, we're exporting the problem to other countries. Is that how we want to be, representing ourselves? Is that the cost of our lifestyle? And as I said, some of it's out of our control, and there's that link to the pressure for financial success or growth. But we do need to acknowledge it, and we do need to. Something I feel passionate about is take the spotlight off of recycling. It's an important part of the system. but it's not the solution. And I do believe that that has been, as I said, that responsibility has been put onto us. You guys have to do better in this. No, actually, we don't, because it's really hard and it's really rough, and we need to try and we need to be responsible and we need to do our best. But there's a lot of other leverage points and points of influence that we can jump on and approach that are much more effective than recycling.
I'm gonna leave it at this just so that other people can jump in with their questions. But even you mentioned something to me earlier on about like the innovation that's already occurred in recycling. Like
Yes.
they've innovated so much to
Yeah.
this point. It's still not enough to like deal with how much waste is being generated. So that's where we're really gonna make the impact at the
Yeah,
end of the day.
and that's a great point, Aziz. That innovation where I'm talking about the conveyor belts and the, excuse me, the compacting the bales of sorted rubbish, and it's all pretty impressive, really. It's, as I said, not ideal that we're doing it, but the fact we're able to do it is incredible. Like, the waste industry is very advanced, so they can almost do what we want them to do with the rubbish, but that's not the solution. So great, it's in place, and yeah, we can lean on it when there's events that are definitely demanding a huge need of waste management, but we want to come from an angle of the right amount of waste management.